What a card. What a card. That is by far, I think, unquestionably the best card to date. It lived up to the potential that it set out for itself in terms of productions, the matchups, and the games. And there really is not much to say beyond that. What you see behind me, not behind me, on screen, is Nas after beating Archie 30-24, holding up his jersey on the back that says levels. We all are aware that there's been a lot of conversation about YouTube YouTube players, which is an unfair moniker to really label these guys with at this point, given how advanced and talented they are. But the idea that it's not even deserving to put these guys in conversation with pros, and of course, in some respect, that is absolutely true. But you guys are actively hurting basketball. Why wouldn't you want to see these games? This was a phenomenal game. The Rob and Da game was phenomenal. Although we'll get to some of the more details of these games because they really were remarkable. I guess we'll just go back to the beginning and start at the top. I went 5 of 6 of predictions. Uh, the one that we got wrong was 30-28 the other way. I predicted Latin Davis to beat Jerome Randall by a slight edge, and it went the other way, 30-28 to Jerome Randall. And oh my God, what the hell is Jerome Randall's shot making ability? Like, it's actually obscene. But we'll get to that. Let's start out with the first one. This is the one that I picked. I picked Mike Harden to beat Trey Croft, and he did in dominant fashion. It was not close. It was even less close than I thought it would be. But as I checked the betting odds later, and indeed Trey Croft was slightly favored to win. I don't know what people really saw there. I think we went more off of vibes than concrete reasoning. The more active physical player with a who's technically better on defense just had a clear advantage there. And I'm not going to cite the exact scores perfectly, but this was around a 30-15, 30-14 sort of game. I don't remember the exact score, but it was not close. It was a double-digit victory for Mike Harden, and I think people were a little bit too. They thought Trey could guard better than he could against someone with the physical advantage, and it was not the case. But he's extraordinarily talented, and look forward to seeing him back on the scene. Hopefully, we do. Moving on to the next game, Bijan and Zay. Now, it's remarkable that Zay was the second game of the day. That is astounding, is it not? But it was. And Bijan, the Rookie of the Year, and potentially the number one resume on the scene, and that is the second game of the night. I mean, that's how insane this card was. But Zay won. I believe he won. I want to say 30-22-ish, something like that. It was somewhere in that range. But I want to give some credit to Bijan because even though I predicted Zay to win, and if you forced me to give a score, I would have given roughly by that margin, Bijan is much better defensively than I thought. Now, Zay at one point was like 2 for 11 from 3 wide open. Bijan was just letting him shoot, so the game should have been over much earlier than it was. But he guarded the downhill drive far better than I thought he could. And really, if he, it's funny that I thought that his defense would be his undoing, and if you had to pin it on one or the other, I think you would actually contend that his offense was what led to his downfall, which is remarkable from, potentially one of the top offensive guys on the scene. Although perhaps it's too early to say that. The game after that was it Keon and Scoob? Or am I missing one in there? Well, we'll do Keon and... Oh, it wasn't. It was, I apologize. I'm erasing it from my memory because I was wrong. It was Latin Davis and Jerome Randall. Jerome Randall won 30-28 off of an obscene three-pointer on the left wing. He just hits ridiculous. I'm not uncomfortable with that game because it was 30-28, and the fact that Davis's height advantage and a little bit of an edge in athleticism did lead to him getting easier shots. But Jerome Randall is just good enough that same with Nesco, if you have a slightly off shooting night, even if you play phenomenal defense, he can just hit shots. Like, there's just not, at a certain point, you need to put him away. And Davis, to me, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I don't think he played a remarkably inefficient game. He did pretty well for himself. What happened was, and this was the most surprising aspect of that matchup, is down the run, I don't know what the term is, but later into the game, as Latin was a possession away from winning or so, Jerome just locked down defensively. He went from giving him almost everything he wanted I shouldn't say giving him. Latin went from getting almost everything he wanted to getting locked up. I don't know. I mean, David, I don't know what Jerome, he just turned on a mode. He sat down. He guessed right a couple times. He moved quicker than he had been in the previous possessions, and he just got timely stops that gave him just enough time to get back in the game and hit some of his crazy shots. I mean, some of the shots that the fact that he was getting them off was astoundingly impressive. And then how close he was getting was astoundingly impressive. And then he made some of them, which was just ridiculous. So, great game. One of the better, it's so hard to choose a game, but great game. I'm a little upset that I got it wrong, but I mean, you can't be mad at that. 30-28, possession to possession, great players, great game. Okay, now for the next one. Scoob and Keon. I felt that Scoob, just due to game planning and such, would have a bit of the edge, and he would pull it off. I don't remember the exact score. Keon at one point mounted an extremely impressive comeback. I think the final score was actually also somewhere around 30-22. Again, this is a post, at a glimpse, this is just a reaction. These numbers are slightly off, but to give you an idea of what the outcome was, Scoob won by not quite double digits, but double digits. Sorry, not quite double digits, but close to double digits, if you will. And Scoob got off to a really hefty lead at the beginning, but couldn't quite hold on to it because, Keon is a ridiculous shot maker. And although I say he's a ridiculous shot maker, he really just got to the cup. I mean, he's elusive and he's fast. I did not realize Keon is as fast as he was. I mean, both of them are really fast. I'm just spitting everywhere. Both of them are really fast. But Keon is really, really fast. And downhill, he gets skinny, he's elusive, and he has amazing ability. And Jerome has it too to some extent, is when you try and jam his first dribble, it's a bad idea. He counters you so effectively almost every time. And it worked out for him toward the end, but his defense just wasn't quite enough, and Scoob was experienced and hardened veteran enough that he could stay in pace and get the job done. Rob and DA. Rob won 30-29 off of a free throw. He started off on a 15-2 run. DA played the game of his life. First of all, we need to see a rematch. There's little doubt to that. I want to see it after Rob and Scoob, whenever that occurs, no matter what the outcome is. I want to see a rematch if they're both up for it. But oh my god, did DA display awesome shot making. I should go back and find one of these clips for you. He was hitting ridiculous shit. And I don't want to talk about the refereeing too much because at the end of the day, DA got the benefit of the referees and lost, so I don't feel it's like the biggest deal in the world because he lost. You might have heard, Rob beat him by a free throw. The refs were biased. This was a weirdly refereed game. This was weird. They played it such that any contact whatsoever, and they tried to enforce this in some other areas and some other matchups at some points of the game, but not to the degree that they did on Rob in the DA game. They punished with an immediate foul, just having your hand even remotely laying on top of the other player's shoulder or stomach until the last possessions of the game as it got out of hand physically. But yeah, it was kind of crazy to see. And after the first couple possessions, when they called some of these fouls, I was like, this might turn into a 50-50 game, because what can DA do? In his older age, he's not the fastest, he's not the greatest finisher, but he is an exceptional shooter, and he can get it off from triple threat, and he also has the step back to the left. And the way they were calling it, he was able to get them off, and he hit them. Oh my god, did he hit them. I mean, it was amazing. But as expected, Rob just kind of went downhill, and although it was he was down like 22-27 to DA at one point, and then he came back and won, just getting to the cup. He didn't shoot very many threes, which was probably the right play. You don't really want to risk it, but given how they were refereeing, maybe he actually should have taken some threes more than he did, given how they were calling it. But he went downhill, he got the job done. Hard right was, of course, the main threat. But then he went left, and not a single left-hand finish was done by Rob, but he did not need to. He got downhill, and and finished going left and right. One mid-range was attempted off of like a fadeaway one leg when he got jammed. But really a pretty remarkable game. DA played much better in this game than the first one. Rob played smarter in this one than the first one, and the result was 30-29, and I would like to see a rematch if we could. Nice little trilogy. The final game, this one, Archie versus Nas, 30-24 Nas, also won on a free throw. And I know some people will complain about winning on a free throw. I understand. It's not a good way to end the game. But you have to understand and sympathize with the fact that I truly believe you cannot allow a cold whistle to ruin the legitimacy of the competition and the validity of the outcome by swallowing your whistle when there's clearly a foul being committed and the guy would be scoring these baskets otherwise had the fouls not been committed. And if the whistle benefited anyone, you could argue it was Archie. The first half, I don't know the free throw. He certainly missed less free throws. Nas missed 4 free throws, which is unusual for him. Archie missed 2, and I think he might have also gotten more free throws. So, Archie benefited from, on paper, the foul shots. So, make of that what you will. Nas, of course, reaches far more and plays more physical defense, in tune with the space and such, and they allowed him to be pretty physical. I think the game, for the most part, was pretty well refereed, better than the other, Bijan and Zay and Rob and DA got quite physical, not quite to the extent of Archie and Nas, but I would say that given the fact that this was more physical, the refereeing was perhaps even a level above those other ones. Although really, Zay and Bijan wasn't that objectionable. But oh my God, Bijan he was shay at a couple points, man. Random shot, but he was looking for some rip through, fouls off the jump shot. But back to Archie and Nas. This was a great game. I hope that Archie doesn't do what I think he will do, which is complain about the refereeing, complain about the fouls, complain about a lot of the atmosphere, yada yada. I hope he does not do that. I think he will, because I hope he does not do that because I want to see him back. He's really good. I think Nas is the only person who's a good matchup for Archie, and even then, of course, the wingspan difference was crazy to see on the screen, side by side. So I would like to see Archie for selfish reasons, because I think you could put him against anyone and be a great game. I mean, not anyone, obviously. He'd whoop some people, but you get my point. I hope that we can stop being so one-dimensional and ask for the good games that we can hopefully get with the space gaining traction. And really, all in all, this is a remarkably good card. Very few bad things to say about it. The games were great. Good matchups. Keep it going. I hope you guys. I'm sure a lot of people lost money tonight. I wouldn't have had I bet. I retain my about 85% accuracy on pay-per-view predictions. Actually, so 5 out of 6. What is that? That might exactly be 80%, actually. Or sorry, 83%. Yeah, it literally is. Well, nothing but good things to say for the most part. Reffing is a hard job. It was questionable at times, but I think the outcomes were good enough that we can accept it and move on and look forward to the next big event. I hope you all enjoyed the event because it certainly was a spectacle to say the least. So I wish you guys the best of luck and see you next